Wednesday, August 31st, and this is now on H&N.
We need the Navy's help.
Accused of harboring, quote, toxic secrets, the Navy is being sued over the Red Hill water crisis.
Hopefully stave off the coming wave of COVID-19 predicted by scientific models.
The FDA authorizes newly formulated booster doses, the first to target Omicron strains. I'm Nancy Chen with who's eligible for the new shots and when.
Well, hotel prices are a different animal.
Planning a Labor Day vacation? You should know, U.S. hotel rates have reached another record high.
These stories, plus a quarter of a century after her death, crowds are gathering in Paris and London to honor Princess Diana today. That's coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. Thanks for watching This Is Now. You got Ashley and Jonathan coming to you right from here in the H&N Digital Center. Want to get started with this. 4 families affected by the Red Hill water crisis have filed a new federal lawsuit against the Navy.
Now, the lawsuit says the fuel-contaminated water caused seizures, gastrointestinal disorders, rashes, and lesions. Dylan Anchetta has the latest details.
The lawsuit goes on to accuse the government of medical negligence, emotional distress, and delayed care. The plaintiffs are asking for financial compensation, though the lawsuit doesn't say how much. And just into our newsroom, we did an interview with one of those plaintiffs. Here's a portion of what they had to say.
I think about the children. And of course, I want to be healthy so I can be here for my children. But I think about my children. I think about all the other children that are ill, that, their future is compromised because of this situation. And I think ultimately we want help. That's what we want. We want to heal. And we need the Navy's help. We do.
Also just in, the Navy released a statement saying they don't comment on pending litigation, but they have previously said there is no evidence of long-term health effects from last year's fuel-contaminated drinking water. This isn't the only legal challenge facing the Navy. This week, the group Viola Alliance filed an amended lawsuit accusing the Navy of lacking urgency in defueling Red Hill, saying it may take up to 6 years to empty those tanks. The Navy has acknowledged that its previous defueling plan lacked specifics, but said it hoped to finish defueling in about 2 years. The Navy has exactly 1 week left to submit a more detailed defueling plan to the state. For This Is Now, I'm Dylan Anchetta.
And we've got some big news regarding the pandemic to pass along. The FDA has authorized new COVID-19 booster doses. Let's turn things over now to Nancy Chen with more on that.
Newly formulated COVID-19 booster shots could be available in just a matter of days after the FDA gave its authorization Wednesday.
I will be at the front of the line at the pharmacy getting my vaccination. I'm very confident about this.
Pfizer and Moderna's updated boosters are known as bivalent vaccines. They combine components from the original vaccine with components designed to target the widely circulating Omicron subvariants BA4 and BA5.
The hope here is that by increasing the amount of antibodies we have to that particular variant, we will restore the kind of protection that we had when we first saw these vaccines launched, and hopefully stave off the coming wave of COVID-19 predicted by scientific models.
Moderna's booster is for Americans 18 and older. Pfizer's for 12 and older. People could get either booster just 2 months after receiving their last shot of the COVID vaccine. The FDA authorized the new formulations without waiting for the results from human clinical trials. But health experts argue the process is no different than what they do for other vaccines.
While we have little safety data, just like the flu shot comes out every year, and it really is tested as we give it, we're going to do the same here. So we think it's close enough to the original COVID-19 vaccine. It's the same outer shell, slightly different spike protein, that it is going to be safe.
The CDC still needs to sign off, but once the modified boosters are available, the FDA says you can get them at the same time as your annual flu shot. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
We want to bring in Hawaii News Now's White House correspondent John Decker now for the latest on Mr. Trump and those top secret documents that the FBI seized. Now, John, the latest filing from the Justice Department indicates that prosecutors believe that Mr. Trump's team intentionally misled them about the presence of these documents. Why do they believe that?
They believe that based upon representations put forward by the former president's own lawyers. They made representations that the former president no longer had any government documents, no longer had any classified documents in his possession. And clearly, they had information based upon their sources that indicated otherwise. And what we've learned is through that search that was conducted at Mar-a-Lago more than 3 weeks ago, there was indeed significant amount of government documents and classified documents, including those documents at the highest level of classification, top secret, that were seized during the search of the president's home in Florida.
And the filing also included a photo of some of the documents with these colored cover sheets indicating their classification. What was the purpose of that?
I think it was twofold. One, if the president's team put forward the defense, oh, we had no idea we had those documents. Well, the documents in that photograph clearly indicate in those cover sheets that you can't mistake those documents for anything other than classified material. That's because of those cover sheets, which indicate in some cases, top secret information. The other reason I think they put that forward is the president's defense that he declassified everything. And if he declassified everything, there would have been declassified markations on those documents. And you see in that photograph that there are none of those markations at all.
At this time, do we know anything about why Mr. Trump would take these documents after leaving the White House?
That's the big unknown, Ashley. We don't know. We don't know the reason for that. People have speculated for all kinds of reasons as to why the former president needed these documents or kept these documents. I stay away from speculation, but that will certainly be part of the investigation that the DOJ, the Department of Justice, and the FBI are conducting to try to figure out why it was that the former president held on to these documents after being asked several times to return them.
And John, lastly, what is the latest on Mr. Trump's request for a special master to review these seized documents?
Well, the filing that was provided to the court yesterday was in response to the former president's request for a special master, a neutral third party, to review everything seized during the Mar-a-Lago search 3 weeks ago. There's another deadline, but that's for Mr. Trump's lawyers. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern to respond to the DOJ filing. And then tomorrow, Ashley, we will have a hearing on this issue regarding a special master, and it will be up to a federal judge whether to name a special master, a neutral third party, to view these documents. That's the big unknown as to what she may do. She said that she's inclined to name this special master to separate out material that may fall under the umbrella of attorney-client privilege from everything else, but we'll just have to wait and see what that federal judge in Florida decides tomorrow.
All right, Hawaii News Now's White House correspondent John Decker. Mahalo for your time, John.
We got more clarification today on a story we first told you about yesterday here on This Is Now. Hart saying it has begun a, quote, trial run of the embattled rail project. Well, Casey Lund talked to the CEO today. Here's some of what she had to say.
There's about 66 scenarios that need to be done, needs to be successfully completed, and we have our partners involved, of course, Hart, Hitachi, HDOT, and DTS. And once all of those case scenarios are successfully completed, Hart's schedule is slated right now for about mid-January, but we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. Sure. If we can beat that schedule, great, but right now we're slated to hand this over to
And actually,
DTS.
I know we just went to video, but if we can come back out here, we've got our trains crossing right behind us. And
how terrific. Thank you, Hitachi. Thank you, Hitachi, for making that happen for us.
We may have timed that, but you know, we wanted to show people, Lori, up close, and that's why it's so nice to be here. Those are super quiet. I want to talk to you about some of the issues that we've had and that we've overcome as well, and what still might be facing us. So the wheels
Wheel-rail
issues
interface
has been
completely-
dealt with.
yes.
Talk to me a little bit about the cracks and the
Yes.
pillars and how that could factor into this next phase and moving forward to the overall timeline.
Sure. So the cracks, the structural engineers are still analyzing it. We're hoping to hear back from them by the end of September of what the root cause is and possible remedial action. And if it is extensive and it's going to go beyond trial running, the successful completion of trial running, safety is paramount to us. We will not open, but we're hoping it's parallel paths and we can finish the cracks and any remedial action and finish trial running and get this open to the public.
Lori Kaikina with us, CEO and Executive Director for HARP.
We're approaching the end of the summer travel season with the upcoming Labor Day holiday, and that means a lot of people are trying to pull off one last trip. Heads up though, hotels on the mainland are pricey. U.S. hotels set another monthly record for average daily rate, or ADR, in July, in a further sign of the rapid recovery in the global hotel industry as well as inflation pushing up prices. Figures showed that the ADR in the U.S. reached $159.08 in July, which was up 17.5% higher than in July of 2019. And it was also a 2.6% month-to-month increase from June. With more on why this is happening, here's CBS News Senior Travel Advisor Peter Greenberg.
Well, hotel prices are a different animal. They stayed high this summer because hotels are actually operating at only 60% occupancy because they didn't have the staff in many cases to support the other 40% of their inventory. And those hotel rates are going to stay high because they're probably going to stay at 60% occupancy. What is negotiable, however, are all the added fees, the resort fee, the internet, the bottles of water, the parking. And for that, you need to have a conversation with the hotel. You can't do that online. And that's what I'd suggest.
Only on Hawaii News Now, officials at Hilo Medical Center say the facility is over capacity and understaffed. The hospital is so overwhelmed that nurses tell us patients are suffering. Our Allison Blair got unprecedented access to see the healthcare crisis in person. Here's a preview.
For more than a year, the 166-bed hospital hasn't just been full. It's been over capacity by as much as 30%. That means there have been days where staff has had to find extra space for as many as 50 people.
She did squeeze my hand a little bit.
In moments like this, observation is critical.
I think she's seizing. There you go.
But the reality is, there are times no one's there. And in this line of work, you don't always get a second chance.
Unfortunately, things are getting missed, and those adverse events sometimes directly tie to a patient passing away.
Thank you.
It's the fact that we're so full, we cannot care for all of our patients, and that just, it hurts because we just don't have the room for them anymore.
Coming up tonight at 6, I'll take you inside the most understaffed hospital in the state. Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
And we have some breaking news coming into the H&N Digital Center, a live picture from downtown.
That's right. The Hawaii Abortion Collective is holding a press conference right now. They're launching an official resource for those who need information about abortion care. Let's listen in.
We know that every person is different. Every person has their own unique destiny, but everyone that comes to us knows this one truth, that now is not the time. Maybe a year from now, maybe 5 years from now, but not now. And as their abortion provider, we take their hands and guide them back onto the path to the destiny that they choose. We see people every day making the best decisions they can for themselves and their ohana, present and future. As abortion providers, we have the privilege of guiding them through this. These decisions should be made by patients and their families, but unfortunately what we see in other states are that these personal and sometimes heartbreaking decisions are being made by others, by lawmakers and politicians. Thankfully, this is not the case yet in Hawaii. We know that abortion is healthcare, and our lawmakers know that healthcare decisions must be made by patients and their families. That is why we will fight to keep abortion legal and safe in Hawaii. We hope that this guide put together by the Hawaii Abortion Collective helps combat the misinformation that is so prevalent online and in the community so that everyone knows that abortion in Hawaii is legal, safe, and available. Dr. Detier and I, and the providers at the Women's Option Center, chose to provide this fundamental right, this fundamental part of healthcare to protect people's fundamental rights. Some people say that medicine is a calling, and in this instance at least, they're right. We chose this destiny so that we could help our patients choose theirs. Thank you.
Again, a live media briefing taking place right now downtown at the state capitol. Our Sammy Selena is there right now. She's going to be gathering both sides of this issue and bring it to us on later editions of H&N. We're going to move on now to some other news, and we've got to get to the weather because things are pretty nice out there.
Yeah.
But there might be a little bit of a change in the works. Here's Guy Hoggy with that.
Now, we're not seeing much in the way of rainfall. We are going to have a few windward and Mauka showers. You can see them coming through. Looks like Wednesday morning, another slug of rain, but really nothing in terms of significant rainfall over the next 7 days. We could use more rain. Many places across state suffering from drought, exceptional drought for parts of Maui County as well. And you can see we're not going to see any real rainfall coming in. There's going to be some overnight and early morning showers for windward sides. And because the winds will be running fairly slow for the next 7 days, there's a good chance for afternoon cloud buildups around the mountains, and that might spawn a few spotty showers, maybe even a few spotty downpours, but sadly, not enough to get us out of the drought. So enjoy the beautiful trade wind weather, but prepare for the heat.
Today marks 25 years since the stunning death of Princess Diana. She was just 36 years old. Jim Bitterman, who covered Princess Diana's wedding and death, reports from the crash site in Paris.
I guess the most striking thing for me, having been in exactly the same spot 25 years ago, is how little has changed since then. People are still drawn to this spot in great numbers, sometimes a lot smaller than today, but in fact, there's always activity around the spot, people laying wreaths, laying messages, that sort of thing, and journalists coming here as well. And the amazing thing is that this is not anything to do, the flame here has nothing to do with Princess Diana. In fact, it was a flame that was erected years before the crash by the International Herald Tribune. And it is a replica of the torch on the Statue of Liberty. But because it is almost over the exact spot where the crash occurred, you can see the traffic in the tunnel back here that is going through the same tunnel where Princess Diana's crash occurred. Because it's there, people are still drawn to this site. And another thing that hasn't changed in 25 years, and that is the explanation for why this accident occurred. The explanation has not changed despite the fact that there have been two major investigations, both in the UK and in France, in the course of the last 25 years, costing millions of dollars. And both of those investigations confirmed what has been the theory from the very beginning, and that is that the chauffeur, Henri Paul, was drunk and was traveling at too high of a speed through the tunnel. A number of accident investigators say another thing, and that is that if Princess Diana had been wearing her seatbelt, she might have survived the accident.
All right. I've actually been to that memorial there, and I had no clue. Like you said, I always assumed that was for Princess Diana, but it was for something entirely different. Yeah, so a lot of tributes coming into Princess Diana. We have a couple stories written up on our H&N digital platforms, including on our Facebook page, where I posted a story Keahi Tucker did about 5 years back about the princess's ties to Oahu. You should check it out. It's some cool archive video from 1985 there. We showed a little bit of it a little earlier in the week. All right, more royal news. Can't get enough, right? Queen Elizabeth will not travel to London to receive outgoing Prime Minister Boris Johnson and his unnamed, yet to be known successor. Instead, a ceremony will be held on September 6th at her country house in Scotland, according to Buckingham Palace spokespeople. This will be the first time a prime minister has officially tendered their resignation or been appointed outside of Buckingham Palace, or this This is throughout her entire reign as queen. This is the first time it's happened. And if you watch The Crown, which you know I do because I talk about it way too much and all the time, that so many of the episodes, I know that's fiction, but I like to pretend it's real, is about that drama between her and the prime minister. So to not have that happen inside Buckingham Palace is a big deal. Of course, as you know, Boris Johnson had to leave office. He had to step down as the Conservative Party leader in early July after months of scandal rocked the government and led to dozens of resignations. His announcement has triggered a leadership battle, and so now it's down to really two people. It's whittled down to the UK Foreign Secretary and the former Chancellor. The results of that vote for who will be the next prime minister is scheduled for September 5th. So the next day, that ceremony would take place with Queen Elizabeth outside of the palace.
Hope she's okay.
Yes.
Well, new today, the 43rd edition of Survivor contestants have been announced, and the show will feature 2 Hawaii residents. So Gio Bustamante, whose hometown is Miami, Florida, is a 36-year-old project manager. And on the right-hand side, that's Cody Assemacher, originally from Preston, Iowa. He is a 35-year-old involved with elevator sales. Now, they will be among 16 other contestants trying to be the sole survivor and win the $1 million prize. Survivor begins Wednesday, September 21st on KGMB.
And just from these clips, I can see he's rocking some Aloha shirts.
Yeah.
At least 2.
Have never seen a single episode of Survivor.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I cannot believe we're up to 43.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been around. I haven't seen it in a long time. I remember watching the very early seasons, but it has some loyal fans. It really does.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they must. Well, let's take you to eastern Spain now, where the Tomatina Food Fight Festival is underway. Around 15,000 people hurled more than 140 tons of overripe tomatoes at each other. 6 trucks loaded with the tomatoes drove through the main street, handing out the sappy projectiles to partygoers. Now, the tradition is said to have started in 1945, all because of a spontaneous quarrel among villagers. Now, almost a decade ago, organizers had to limit the capacity, and they started selling tickets to the event as it grew in popularity.
I've seen this video every year. I really have, and it's just something I would never want to take part in, to be quite honest. No way. Not my scene. Yes. All right, so speaking of food fights, the chicken war is on at some fast food chains moving into the Valley Isle. Let's turn things over to Chelsea Davis with more on that.
The long-awaited Raising Cane's is now open on Ho'okele Street in Kahului. And less than half a mile down the road, Chick-fil-A is getting ready to open the state's very first location. Maui residents are eager to try something new. First in line, Frank Barbosa of Kihei dances his way into Maui's first Raising Cane's. It's his first time trying the world-famous chicken fingers.
Yeah! Tender, soft, crunchy, good texture, not oily.
Barbosa waited in line for 23 hours for that bite. The company hired 110 local employees and gave 20 lucky customers free canes for a year in a random drawing. They also donated $7,500 to 3 nonprofits: Kahului Boys and Girls Club, Hawaii Animal Rescue Foundation, and Hawaii All-Star Cheerleading Rainbow Fund.
So the fact that we're giving back to the community, and they see that, and it's really, that's such an important thing to us, and to have them actually seeing the fact that, like, hey, this is what we're here for. We're here to serve chicken, but we're also here to be part of the community.
Yeah, and the Chick-fil-A opening this week as well on Thursday. So Chelsea Davis, thanks for that report. I hope you got some snacks in yesterday.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, me too. That's going to do it for This Is Now. Ashley's back first at 4. Have a good afternoon, everyone.